Right. Welcome back. So this is Automated with Tech. This is the backstage of where we're basically how Automated with Tech builds everything else that Automated with Tech builds. And of course, this is the video. These are the live streams that I did by myself for the most part in the beginning because no one knew about it. And we wanted to be able to literally record sort of the seed videos to show you how we were doing all of this. So here's what I'm going to do today. Now, in the previous video, previous live stream, we talked about that RIFf prompt. I'm going to show that to you again. This time I'm going to riff into creating something that I actually use all the time, but I'm going to recreate it here, and I'm going to recreate it through the RIFf prompt. So we basically can all do this together, right? In Automated with Tech. So we'll all be using the same type of AI in the same type of ways, right? With the same strategies. So long story short, what I have done in the past is created kind of what I call Teamies, like virtual teammates. Let me show you what those look like. So let me just pop in here. If I go into Gemini, so this is just gems, right? ChatGPT's assistants, whatever you build. But I've got these little Teamies that are here. And the reason that these are here, this one in particular is super useful. In fact, this is the one I was using yesterday after the live stream I did because I needed to actually start building the community. And then as soon as I got in there, I was like, okay, what about the technical components or, you know, what the settings need to be? I don't want to have to think what the settings are. I just want to be told what the settings are so I can assemble this thing that I have co-designed with AI. Right? I don't want to have to create anything as much as I want to have to assemble stuff, or at least have that sort of feeling, because that's a little bit more in flow for me, right? This is kind of how I work. So long story short, the tech and automation Teamie is where I go to say, okay, here's, you know, you already know everything about everything that I need you to know about. What are the answers to these questions, right? They already have the context. So I'm just going to show you what these look like. So you'll have your set of instructions, right? That's coming through here. And then you've got knowledge, right? So we have, in this case, the knowledge of how to be the tech and automation consultant. Now, these can get really detailed. Like this one here is the live stream Teamie that I actually use to help kind of co-create and deliver this live stream. The only reason I'm doing this right now is because I have previously off camera worked with this live stream Teamie, and to be honest, you know, a week ago, before this whole channel was even created, because that was created and the YouTube Teamie was also created to sort of help us get these things up and running. Because I mean, obviously we could have just jumped in and started doing stuff, and that's fine, but we wanted to have some sort of plan or some sort of thought through or think about different paths and get the confidence that was needed then to be able to take action, just to enjoy the action that we're taking. Like I'm enjoying doing this right now, even though I'm broadcasting to live to like basically me. But I'm sure AI will train on this too, so it'll live forever. Okay, so let me show you this live stream one. So if you come in here, see how these can get really useful. These get really useful when you give them more context. And so what I'm going to do is build a factory that essentially can create these Teamies, right? And the reason that I call them Teamies is because I don't want to anthropomorphize too much. I don't need a virtual human because we just, that's not particularly useful in the world of AI, right? A virtual human is not built for AI. What I need is a AI that is built to have the exact right context for and provide the exact right impact through the specific results that are useful that I can actually start taking action on, right? So I'm just sort of focusing, and I call that a Teamie. So in this case, it's like, oh, you're gonna know everything about certain products. I need you to be a Teamie. So we're gonna create that factory first, and then you're gonna see me using that factory over and over again. So I'll do my best to link back to this video if that's why you're here, to kind of see how I created the factory in the first place, or at least whatever the initial version of the factory was, depending how long it's been. So, all right, what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna start with our RIFf, as we should always. Now, RIFf essentially just to kind of walk you through this prompt very quickly to sort of show you how it's gonna work. This, by the way, is the Google Doc. It's in the description of all the live streams. So if it's not in this one yet, just if you happen to be joining live for whatever reason, just go grab it off another one. But actually, I won't. I'll put this in chat. What am I thinking? I'll put it in chat because all of you can have it. So just in case, so there we go, chat. There is the link. So this is the doc. Just keep this bookmarked because I'm gonna put everything for Automated with Tech and the prompts and all that stuff here. So as I create more things or things that are gonna be useful, we'll put them in here. All right. I am once again not able to get smooth streaming, and I am not sure why, and I apologize. So let me try something. I'm gonna try to pause the stream. we should be back now. I think YouTube's showing me I have an excellent connection. Okay, so then we've got the chat in there. All right, I think we're back. I apologize if that was a little choppy. I'm trying to learn how to do this live streaming and pay attention to everything as I go through. All right, let's go through this prompt. So the way this works, I'm going to riff through something, like just talk through and do my best to try to describe where I currently am, what the current situation is, what I'm trying to do in the best way that I possibly can. Then the AI, I'm going to give it this prompt. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to kind of talk all that stuff through, and that's my user input, right? That top part of the prompt there. Then what I'm going to do is underneath it, I paste all this stuff that's going to be here. This is the actual prompt that actually goes quite down. So it's actually technically this piece here is what I'm going to paste in. So I'm doing the exact same thing you can do. You can go to this doc and you can go do this right now if you wanted. So I'm just copying that out so I have it ready. Now what this does is it goes through what I gave it and then starts breaking it down into components and helping me to get organization and clarity around it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you something that you can do with this prompt that I believe we can do with this prompt that's going to help us get real clarity. And I'm going to give you some different techniques now, some different strategies with this prompt. Because again, I think the mistake that people make with AI, at least I can only speak to my experience. My experience has been the mistakes I've made with AI is thinking that a prompt is a prompt. In other words, I put in a prompt and I'm going to get a almost like it's a mold, right? You just sort of, oh, it's going to give me this result every time. This prompt will always do this thing. And that is somewhat true, but it's also, it depends what the prompt is built to do. So this prompt should be able to loop in on itself and do a little more thinking. It's got a little more meta-analysis options in here, and I'll show you how that works. As you go through it, I'll demonstrate that so you can see that. But the reason that it's going to do that is because I'm going to ask it to do that in a very unique way, because I'm trying to communicate a pattern that I need it to follow, not necessarily the words I want to hear back. And I'll walk you through how that is too. So you're going to see how to use this exact same prompt that I used yesterday. And I think yesterday I used it in a fairly basic way to kind of get up and running and get momentum. So if you ever need to get into momentum or action, this riff prompt you can riff into action really quickly, which I like because I can do that. This one, I'm going to slow down a little bit and have a little bit more of an in-depth conversation to get it. And I'm not riffing into it I am, at the end of the day, we should be working into action here. But I really want to talk about and make sure that we spend a lot more time on the results and hopefully really generate a massive impact that I'm looking for from this factory. So I'm going to see how we do. All right. So with that in mind, I'm going to go ahead and pop back here. I am about to have our prompt, which I'm just going to, copy and paste in there. The reason I'm not copying and pasting it in now is because if I did that, you'll notice my microphone button goes away and I want to talk things out. Now, if I was just typing things out, you could totally do this, right? I could, paste it in, go to the very top, and remember, this is where you want to put your stuff. So, you go here. That's what you do. So you put all your stuff up at the top there and then you do the prompt. So I'm just going to take this out. All right, so there's my microphone back, and let's get going. Oop, I gotta make sure I've got my microphone actually on, because I don't think that I do. And I apologize. I have to go off camera one minute. How unprofessional of me. I thought I had it here, and evidently I don't. So hang on one second. All right, we're back. This is why I love no-net live streams. All right, so, and I got my mic on. We are connected. Okay, so let's go ahead and give this a run. So what I'm going to do is again, it's going to essentially describe kind of where I'm currently at, which won't be much. And then really what I'm trying to do, which is to build this sort of factory that'll build specific types of things. And I'm going to try to talk through that. And you're going to hear me talk through it in multiple ways, which is something I showed in the original live stream, where I'm kind of saying the same thing, but in slightly different ways over and over again at different points in time, so I can give AI as much of a 360-degree context as much as possible. It's just because that's what I'm trying to do in my head. I'm not trying to organize my thoughts. I'm trying to get them out of my head and into something else that's going to help me to organize my thoughts, because this riff prompt was made to help me organize my thoughts and think through stuff so I can go take action, right? That's kind of how we're going to do it. All right, let's get diving in. I would like to talk about how to actually build a AI factory that essentially builds what I like to call Teamies. That's spelled Teamies. Now, what a Teamie is, you can kind of think about them like a highly specialized virtual team member, but not like a human team member. These would be team members in the world of AI, a team member that AI would consider a team member. And it's probably more like a skill set, right? Or they can, they just have the specialized knowledge and skills to achieve or to likely produce certain results and to ultimately produce a certain specific impact that they're always highly likely to be able to help the user to produce. And essentially what the user is going to be wanting to do with these, because there's, again, only 2 human co-founders of AutomatedWith.tech, and that's the whole website and movement that we're trying to build here. And we want the bot factory, or this AI, Teamy Factory, let's just call it a Teamy Factory. I think we want this Teamy Factory to be able to be used by the users, by the co-founders, and then they can go to the Teamy Factory and they can work with the Teamy Factory to design the perfect Teamie that they need. So it might be a Teamie that's really good at understanding how to go and take a YouTube channel that is just started to live stream only and has no audience and begin to grow that channel. Like, just really understand those types of channels and maybe even the types of content that AutomatedWith.tech has, on that specific channel. And then really be understanding and work with the user to help them grow that channel, because they know so much about YouTube and audiences and community and the marketing that's behind it and the content and the story and whatever else might be useful, because the user's not going to know these things, and they want to work with their Teamie so that their Teamie can help make them aware of the things that they are not aware of. Right? When they actually understand this stuff, they have confirmed now that they actually have that knowledge, then the user will likely take action. But the only reason the user's not taking action right now is because they don't know what actions to take and they have questions. This makes them go do searches and put a lot of effort in. And unfortunately, this burns their energy. So by the time they figure out the answers, they don't want to do the work anymore. And our Teamies are going to be there to help them to figure out the answers, to solve problems, to provide solutions where possible. Another example of a Teamie might be one that is really, really good at understanding WordPress as a platform, and specifically the Fluent suite of products, because we use tools like Fluent Community and Fluent CRM and Fluent Boards and Fluent Support and a bunch of all the other Fluent products, Fluent Cart, Fluent Affiliate. There's a lot of other Fluent products. They work really well together. They're tightly integrated. That's why we like them. But we also want to be able to do a lot of AI and automation style work with them. And we want to be able to demonstrate that stuff. So I want in this case, the Teamie might be somebody who understands how to use those tools so that we can assemble and create the community and, help with certain features, but can also help us build automations between the tools and maybe even through the tools, maybe through third-party services and things like that we could do. That would be really cool. And I would like a Teamie that really understands that specific stuff. Now, all of these Teamies, my guess is the way this would go, I would prefer that they have, basically these are Gemini Gems. Like, that's what it would be, or a ChatGPT assistant that has instructions and then knowledge, right? Whatever knowledge is required, that specialized knowledge that specific Teamie really needed in order to, again, produce the impacts that we're trying to produce and produce the results we're trying to produce. So I want to make sure that the factory helps go through this process. And it could be a process like RIFf, something where it helps the user sort of diagnose what's going on, help them really define and go through confirmation cycles so they define all the different details of what's going on and truly understand the Teamie that they are trying to create, right? And so they fully define it and have thought it through and have gone through all the blind spots and all that stuff. Then the bot says, or then the factory would then say, okay, let's create the Teamie kit, where here's the impact, right, that's going to happen from this. And assuming the user goes, yes, that's confirmed, we now know the Teamie and the impact, let's go ahead and produce the kit. The kit would basically be, here's a prompt, maybe for the persona stuff, right, to generate the personas or the style or whatever the thing is that's kind of unique to how that bot interacts with things, including the user. Maybe there's something around the knowledge. There would be prompts that would be part of this kit that would actually be used to go into Gemini, let's say Gemini Deep Research as an example, and create deep research reports that would actually create the knowledge. In other words, these prompts would be used to create the specialized knowledge that AI actually needs, right? Or the team is going to need. So we've got the prompts for the persona that would be created, the prompts that would create the knowledge. And then I think maybe there's kind of like a fuse style prompt here where we can then go to AI. And this might be in like a kind of a deployment instructions or something like that come with the kit that basically say, okay, so step one, let's get the persona, and we save that as a file. You know, let's say everything's marked down and structured however it needs to be, because this is really going to be used by AI, right? This is a pure AI Teamie. So build it so that it's being fully utilizing AI's capabilities, right? And even if I haven't asked you to do something specific that you know I would ask you to do, if I knew that I could do that, please just assume that I'm going to do that already. And in fact, I already just did. This is my way of asking you to go ahead and do the things that you know for a fact I would absolutely want. So just go ahead and assume those are confirmed. Just tell me what those were, so I also understand and can confirm that those are still correct. So let's go ahead and start with that. I think you're hopefully going to get at least the general concept of what's going on and what I'm trying to do. But at the same time, I know I've missed a lot of details. I'm trying to talk through as much of this as you can, and how I might want to be able to use them, and the wide variety of these things that I want to be able to create. I'd like them to be kind of united, like they all understand the brand standards and they all understand maybe the co-founders, right, and how to operate with us. So there's certain things that all the Teamies will have in common, and maybe they share knowledge in that way. But then there's also the specialized knowledge that they also have, right? So we can talk about that as well. So let's go ahead and start there, and I'm curious as to your thoughts and, of course, any suggestions that you might have. All right, that was a lot, but this is how it's done. Oh no, gosh. Oh wait, no, sorry. I did this yesterday. This is why I posted. Oh, I didn't. I'm so sorry. I did this yesterday. I gotta stop doing this. But I'm gonna show you this afternoon. This is why I'm doing this all the time. I'm not used to doing this with prompts. I do this with bots, and I'm gonna show you this afternoon's stream how to actually turn RIFf into a bot. Teamy. This is why I'm building the factory now. Surprise. Okay, so let me just get back into my prompt. I'm going to copy that, and we're going to go back here and paste it. Oops, let's go. Where we go? All right. Pasting starter prompt. That's what I wanted. Sorry about that false start AI. Okay, so now I've got all that user data up top. Now the prompt is going through that, trying to break it down, analyze everything. What should start happening now is it's coming into the results style side of things. I'm just gonna click on this because I wanna see kind of what it's doing. I know it's working because it's going through the RIFf process already, which is great. That's the only thing I really check for. It's Teamy Factory. I'm gonna change the spelling on that because that's just sometimes what happens when you talk the assembly kit. That's cool. I'm just gonna call it a Teamy kit. I'm gonna do a couple of things just to change some tiny stuff, but let's see what we got. Based on your input, I now build a logical map of the journey. I'm just going to shut some of this, minimize this. Okay. So results, co-founder of AutomatedWith.tech. So now here's a couple of things. I'm literally kind of rebuilding some things that I've already built, but I wanted to show you how to do it. The things like this, where it's like, no, it's AutomatedWith.tech. It's a website. I could have to say that over and over and over again to start it off, or I could have a knowledge document that I could upload to say, hey, here's everything about AutomatedWith.tech. That's actually what I do. But I'm going to riff into all of that. I'm going to rebuild all of that using RIFf, so I can kind of show the usefulness of RIFf. And because I'm riffing along with you, hopefully as I'm riffing it and I figure out ways to make it more and more useful, it's also becoming more useful for you as well. And maybe you figure out ways to make it useful for me, because we could all, riff on the RIFf. And then I'm totally cool to share that stuff at the AutomatedWith.tech community, which is the whole point of this. All right, so what I'm gonna do here, first, I'm gonna say regarding this, it's a website, community called AutomatedWith.tech. Okay, so there's that. Great YouTube channel, specialized knowledge, bottleneck. Actually, I just thought of something. Watch what I'm about to do. Because I have these live streams, this is another reason I'm doing the live stream. Because I have the live streams, I now have a whole bunch of data, right? I'm talking about riffing. I'm talking about how I think through things. I'm working with AI to do a bunch of stuff. I'm able to take all of that and analyze it. I'm able to take all of that and give it to AI to get some usefulness from. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take yesterday's transcript where I kind of talked about what AutomatedWith.tech was and what the whole thing and what we were trying to do and how we were going to grow the showcases and all of that, because that was really the whole thing that we started with. It's a perfect transcript to give to AI and be like, oh, by the way, this is AutomatedWith.tech. Just generally speaking, it's that. That's cool, because that's kind of where we defined a lot of that. So I'm going to do that. So I'm going to say I've attached a document with the general details for, so you understand, so you know, automated with tech. Now this is important to do a little early because I want it to have that information earlier in the conversation so it can access this information around automated with tech and tie it to contextually be useful for me, right? I wouldn't do this if I was building a bot for you, obviously. I would do it for me. I need it to be really understanding what I'm trying to do and what the platform and the tech and everything we know. So that's why I'm doing this early, so that the rest of the conversation, that's already kind of in its memory and its thinking. All right, so what I'm going to do is add from drive. What did we call this? I think I have it in here. There is, I believe, a transcript that was AI. Let's see what we got. That's it. Okay, transcript AI. Sure, I'm going to go ahead and insert that one in there. Okay, so now we are inserting it through Google Drive, just so it has that. Now, actually, I am going to stop this. I'm not going to look at that response yet because I'm going to go through the rest of this. I shouldn't have hit. I just went a little too fast there. I shouldn't have hit the start. So that just takes care of this. The bridge. So Teamy Factory. So I'm going to take that, and I want to do these corrections up front, which I may have missed. There it is. Okay. So then this. Teamy Factory. Teamy kit, etc. All right, so now I've just kind of corrected some basic terms so that going forward I don't have to keep doing that, and it now has it deep in the beginning of this correct. So we're gonna have persona instructions that'll be marked down, that's fine. Knowledge queries. Yes, okay, so this I'm not gonna do. See where it says rag files? That is the correct, most useful answer. So this is doing what it needs to do. I do not have that knowledge currently to be able to effectively do that. I know I could do that and make that a thing to do now. I do not want to do that now, because my guess is you do not want to do that now. You just need to get a website started or create whatever you need to do. So do I. So this is love this idea. We'll do this later. So I'm going to, and we'll come back to that because we'll have to do that stuff anyway. And this is the whole point of Automated with Tech. So as we grow, everybody can see how it's done. We don't have rag skills currently. Let's keep it simple and let's keep it simple. The prompts used to get AI to build to use. There we go. To use its. I'm going to say enhanced research capability here. Ability to research, so it can assemble the proper knowledge for each document. All right, so that's kind of what I want to do. So each document I want to have kind of its own separate knowledge base. Now, here's also what I'm gonna do. Because I want this as soon as possible, I want to give context around who it's working with. I've already created what we call an operational blueprint for the co-founders. So my wife and I both have this. In fact, this was her idea. It was brilliant. So what she did is, we've done things in the past. These, you do those like psychological profiles and all the stuff that's out there for productivity, whatever. There's one called Colby, which is really good. She's done one called Human Design that she really likes. And so she just take whatever. She gave them to AI and said, hey, just take these and sort of generally summarize, what this is. So we sort of have this operational blueprint on how we both like to think. So, and they are useful. Like we look at that and we go, yes, that's definitely me. And I'm clearly, the things that she really likes, I don't. And the things that I really like, she doesn't. So we can balance each other in that. Plus we have some things that we obviously both have in common. So we just really double down on things we have in common, and things that we don't have in common, we try to stay out of each other's way and in our own lane, but also try to be supportive of one another, understanding sometimes there's going to be some conflict there if we try to be too supportive, because we'll try to do it our way, not their way, or their natural way. So anyway, that's the operational blueprint. How useful would that be? That's useful for humans to have, to interact with other humans, because my wife and I actually use those because we know that stuff, it's helped us in our relationship. But with AI knowing that, it can help us in our relationship with these AI tool that we are using to help us go through our thoughts and create more actions, right? Have bigger impact. So I'm going to attach that. So I'm attached but I'm actually gonna do this later. I'm gonna do this separately outside of this. I was gonna put it in the knowledge queries. Actually, I will do that. So I've attached a knowledge document that lets know who the co-founders are, so the factory knows is working with. This is an example of foundational, let's just call this foundational general knowledge that all Teamies will have by default. So I'm going to call this IE default knowledge. Then, only if knowledge doesn't already exist. This is important because I don't want it to create default knowledge over and over again. I want to say, hey, if we already have this, we don't need this. I only need to create the knowledge that I need to create specific for this bot. That's what I want. So only if the knowledge doesn't already exist. So only if the knowledge doesn't already exist will new knowledge be researched and created. Often this will happen with specialized knowledge, likely useful only for that particular Teamie. Okay, so I think we're good there. This is true. This is fine on the scaffolding stuff. This is just basically saying it's going to cycle through some things. Blueprints confirmed. There's my assembly kit. Point B. All right, let's just start with those for now. All right, so now I'm cycling through. So this is where it's kind of referencing the scaffolding awareness thing. It's the way to think about that is I'm trying to make sure, because AI knows everything. But again, I'm using vernacular, but this is to say, generally speaking, this is a useful way of thinking about it. AI has all knowledge. I have very limited knowledge in my tiny little human brain. But through AI, I have access to all knowledge. I'm just not aware of all knowledge currently in this moment, because I don't need to be aware of all knowledge. I need to be aware of how to do a live stream right now and how to, do this AI stuff and how to riff and all of that. That's what I'm aware of right now. So what I'm trying to do is work with AI to help make me aware of things that it knows I should be doing. For example, if I was doing this live stream right now, the live stream Teamie is designed so that it goes, hey, you didn't ask me about, bit rate or whatever the thing was setting, or, blah, blah, blah on the stream setting, or how this feature of the live stream. But I think generally speaking, based on what I know about what you're trying to do and who you are, and blah, 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 you should do this. In other words, it becomes more proactive, making me aware of something I was not aware. That's what we mean by scaffolding the awareness whenever you see that phrase. Okay, so it's updated the map here. So based on the feedback, we have default knowledge. Still not spelling Teamie correctly. So watch what I'm about to do here. It's done all this stuff. I'm gonna go back here and emphasize that Teamie spelling because I missed it. Okay. Also regarding Teamie is Teamie. Okay. And I'm gonna say selling. Let's turn that into spelling. Spelling of Teamie is Teamie. Okay, so I'm just gonna reset that. And now it's gonna go through that again. It should come back with the correct spelling from here on out. I'm just editing the original prompt I had just done, just so I can keep a nice clean conversation. Now, the reason I do that is because sometimes I will copy and paste the entire conversation and use that to give to another AI that I needed to analyze or find something or pull a pattern from or something like that. So that's why I try to keep these in clean little blocks. And honestly, I didn't do that all the time. That was my wife that had showed me that stuff. I know you could do it, but she does it all the time. And she was like, no, you just do this. And it makes sense because you have a nice clean conversation as opposed to, no, that's not what I meant. Do it like this, So, because then it can kind of get away from you a little faster. All right, so there's our details. Teamie is now correct. AutomatedWith.tech is now correct. Okay. It's saying, okay, see where it did here? It said the impact step. Let's continue. So now it jumped ahead of me. It was like, oh, cool, we've talked about everything. Let's go forward. Now, there's a lot that we talked about, but I don't know if we talked about everything. Now, it did not do that. Like, here's what I needed to do is show me something new. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm using AI to have a new thought, because if I'm just having the same thoughts I've always had, I could just get to work and do that. I need something new, because if I had everything I needed, I would be working. I hope that makes sense. But it's like if I'm not taking natural action, it's because I need something to take an actual action, or else I would be taking the actual action that I want to take. So I'm working with AI to come up with that new way, that new perspective, that new bit of information, that new thing I was not aware of that AI does because it has access to all this knowledge. And it just skipped all that. So I'm going to, come back, and we're going to, this is also something I'm going to be tightening up. This is why I like using bots, building a RIFf bot, which again, we'll do that later this afternoon. But then I'm going to, so now I'm going to help it out. From here, I'm curious as to what your perspective on everything is currently. What are you aware of? Now, this is how I get it to do this. If I just say, what are you aware of that I'm not aware of? It doesn't know what I'm not aware of, right? So what I say is, what are you aware of that would be extremely useful for me to also have confirmed I am also aware of? So now I'm basically saying it's going to go through and say like, hey, I think this is useful. I don't have a confirmation that he also thinks this is useful, right? So I want to show, oh, well, here's all the stuff I think is useful that we didn't talk about, but I just assumed it was useful. And maybe it was going to use some of that in its thinking process. Maybe it wasn't, but it was all in the little black box. And I wanted to show me that black box. Now, the other thing that I will do, and this is just something I love doing for fun, but I do talk to the AIs like this a lot. As you think through this, be sure to use that multi-dimensionalized approach that is possible only through AI due to its nature. All right, so I'm going back and spell, it's not depersonalized, dimensionalized. Why did I spell that wrong? Sorry, I'm working on too many monitors here. Dimensionalized. Okay. And now, I know it's misspelled. It's going to figure it out. I'm not going to mess with it. But the whole idea is get it going. That's weird. I didn't think about that. That's different. I didn't think about that. Right? That's kind of what we're looking for as we go through. So now it should be kind of reset back on track. So I had to riff with it a little bit, but I saw it kind of going off road, and I brought it back. I think, again, this is important to not believe your AI is a thing outside of you, because I was misusing the tool in a way, right? Like the tool came back with a bad response. Like just if I used a drill and it started making a noise that I wasn't expecting, I would stop and look about how I'm using the drill, right? Same thing with AI. If the AI comes back with a thing, I don't go like, well, I guess the AI sucks. I guess the drill just is, that's what drills do. No, I go, well, I need to figure out how to use the drill better, right? I need to figure out how to use AI better. That's why I come up with the phrases and these things that I do, because it kind of throws at this weird little curveball that it's not used to seeing all the time. And so it comes back with curveballs to me. That's what I need it to do. I'm bouncing balls off the wall here, but there's these little thought balls. That's what we're doing with AI, at least at this stage, using it for that to work through things. Okay, so that said, let's go through. We got the spelling, got the queries, default knowledge. Here's the perspective. This is what I'm looking for, is something where I go, yes, I never thought about that. Absolutely, yes, we need to add that. That's what I'm trying to do, because that's what's made it better and why I am doing this. If I just build it to what I currently know, I'm going to get what I know. But if I can build it with what AI knows and what AI thinks from what it knows is the useful stuff that I had no idea was even a thing, it should be substantially better and have more impact, right? For the same amount of time that I'm essentially spending here. Even though clearly it was to go a lot faster if I wasn't chatting everything out, but I think it's useful anyway, for reasons later, as I will go into. So we've asked perspective, confirm in the shared awareness. So based on the conversation transcript, Teamy Factory, the spelling. So all right, again, tiny little things like that. I probably, this will be the last time I try to correct it, because honestly, that is actually, I'm not going to worry about correcting it. There are certain things I will get caught up in, and it's not necessary. That misspelling is not necessary, because I can just Control H that when I go into Google Doc and replace everything out anyway, so it'll be fine. Okay, so this is going to be fine. Human-centric philosophy, state change it creates. The co-founder designed take initial chaotic new idea, calm momentum, grounded certainty. That's exactly right. Because then you just feel like, hey, just things are moving along the way they're supposed to, and they're moving the way they are supposed to. This is working the way it is. Core purpose AI is prove your own capacity to get things done. 100% right. So here's what I'm going to say. This is correct, and we also need to be sure the impact is generated from the user. All right, so I just want to make sure that AI is focused on impact, not just making me think I can do new things, but actually getting me to do new things. So I actually build the muscle, as opposed to just sort of watch somebody working in the gym. Watching a YouTube video of somebody else working in the gym is not going to build me muscle. I got to do it on my own. So that's what I want AI to help me to do. The self-reinforcing value loop. Okay, so love these little names. We're going to build it to create Teamies. Helps you build a new showcase. Yes, that's true. The document. Yes, that's true. The backstage process for the showcase. Unlock moments. Yep. Okay, so doing all this, meta architecture, opening operational system, generate momentum. It does, yes. You've got the general idea down. I'm curious. I'd like to know. Now, here's where I'm gonna try to push it a little bit. So what I'm gonna do, because this is AI and it's not, and I got to get it. I kind of need to ask it. I'm working with the tool to kind of get it to light up pathways. This is how I think about this. In AI is this big giant database of interconnected words, phrases, letters, symbols, everything, right? It's got all these different connections, and what it does is it figures out what the probability is of all these different interconnections as it's going through and figuring stuff out. That's how it moves through its data. That's how it becomes aware of the knowledge that it has access to, right? Essentially in its database. So what I want to do is try to light up certain parts of that so that those things are aware, so that it can tell me those things are aware. So because that's where the new thoughts are. So this is why I ask in kind of weird, crazy ways like this, because that's what I'm trying to do. Again, it's ways of throwing these little spinning curveballs. And I have found this style of interaction to be much more useful. It just gives me better results faster, much more useful results faster. I get a bigger impact. Okay, so what I'm gonna say is I'd like to know what. Let's see. Okay, so I'd like to fast forward in the future, and I'm gonna say I'm gonna make this little side comment. By the way, regarding. Okay, just so I keep this as a separate. I'm going to try to have it keep two things separate here. So I've got your idea down. Fast forward in the future, and having used the Teamie, I'm going to try to get to do the factory spelling here. Having used the Teamy Factory for to build hundreds of Teamies. What? Looking back to today, what were the things we had to improve over time, and why? I'm gonna, and that's how I'm gonna say. How would you grade the performance of the factory? So this is where we're going to say things like, what were the things I did to and why? What worked really well and what immediately, and was there anything that we immediately had to address before we started actually using it, using the Teamy Factory effectively. So basically, I'm having it kind of go through time. I'm saying, yeah, you got the general idea down, go through time, and then go back and then say, okay, through what's the likely, right? So Teamy Factory to build hundreds of the most likely to be useful Teamies for AutomatedWith.tech. Looking back to today, how would you grade the performance? Again, I'm not going to worry about grammar. Okay, cool. So now it's going through and it should be saying, okay, here's everything it's sort of they would have done with AutomatedWith.tech. Here's kind of how it would have worked. Now that I'm imagining that, you're playing it out in your head. And you do this as a human, ideally, where you're playing it out in your head. You're thinking through, okay, where are the blind spots? What could have gone wrong? Would that have worked in this situation? That's kind of what I'm trying to get it to do. So hopefully it's going through and finding scenarios and likely things and popping different parts of its database now. So it's more aware of things, that it's got more access to additional knowledge and paths and connections to other things. But they're in the area where I need the connections to be, so I can see and make sure I get in depth all that stuff around the knowledge. I get a more complete light up of that area. Again, hopefully that makes sense. Over time, this stuff I assume will, as you'll see it. All right. So what worked brilliantly? So YouTube comments, this is great. Create a team gives me feeling comment podcast, segments about methodology, create a fix, podcast, okay, good. I think we are cool here. Okay, so we had one fix, it looked like, source and framework. Before generating knowledge, the factory now forces to consider what specific experts and methodology we trust in this topic. Oh, this is interesting. So what is our unique automated framework or angle on this topic? Actually, this is good. I just, what I don't like AI sorry, it's not that I don't like it. It's just that I feel it's inefficient. I don't want AI to give me questions that I have to now go like, okay, well, I have to go a bunch of do work now to go figure out the answer. I want AI to give me the question and then the most likely useful answer for that question, so I can confirm that it is correct still and useful still. So that's what I'm going to do for every question. Or clarification needed from the user, please be sure to also offer what is highly likely to be the most useful answer. This way, the user can easily confirm if the answer is correct. Now I'm saying confirm too because we're confirming awareness earlier on, so hopefully that confirm thing is hooking into that. So it knows that it needs to confirm with me everything, and we both need to understand that we both see the same thing. Because if it's thinking something in the back of its head, which again I realize it's not a thing, but let's pretend, if it's doing that and it doesn't tell me that, and I hit the button and then start hitting and then start operating this plan, and it's something falls off, it's probably because it assumed I knew something that I didn't. And so I'm trying to constantly go through like, hey, what are you assuming that you didn't 100% assume, that you didn't confirm that I have also assumed, right? So that's what we're going to do next after this. So key frameworks over time, the shared brain. This makes sense. The Teamy knowledge graph, starting to spell that good. Okay, the knowledge graph, that's a good idea. I didn't think about that. That's interesting, because I was going to do a bunch of different knowledge documents, but I'm going to run into limits if I do that. And having one general knowledge graph is probably good enough, especially because I bet you I could link it to other knowledge documents. So I think I'm going to go with that. I like that idea. The assembly to lifestyle management, fire, forget. This was also, this is huge, huge. This is why I use AI as a tool, because I would have wanted this had I remembered to say it. But what it's saying is they evolve, which makes sense because their skills have to change. If, for example, my tech bot that I created earlier, little tech Teamie, when I was building the WordPress site, and that was going into creating the server and, using this thing called Cloudron and installing on the server and, hardening the, going into SSH and all this other stuff that I was doing and setting up the backups and all the technical things, I was doing it with that bot guiding me every step of the way. But at a certain point, it was giving me pages that, or text that wasn't on the page, and it was because they flipped the UI. It happened to be like days before. So I would just give the UI picture back to it, and it would be like, oh yeah, never mind, it's here now. And it knew what was going on, so I could just keep moving. So am I an expert that can set up your server? No, but I am the expert that can set up mine enough to where I need it. And then I'm no longer the expert at anything else beyond that until I need to be. And that's kind of the best part about that. I'm expert enough to get the impact that I need for me, and then that's it. And then I'm done being an expert enough in that thing. I can go be an expert enough in something else that needs to be done. Maybe it's a marketing campaign. Maybe it's creating YouTube content. Maybe it's hanging out with my wife and, having a cool lunch or something. I don't know. Okay, so let's go through Teamie's performance. So now it's going to bring in the retuning session. So I like this evolution idea a lot. But what I'm going to do is to help it update. Can this be of an update cycle? Maybe we put this in the knowledge, actually. Maybe we put this in knowledge. Knowledge documents themselves, i.e. they contain the instructions AI would need to go get additional updates or confirm potential. Oh, okay, so here's a phrase. It's super useful. Or to verifiably, so I like using this one a lot. This is, thank you, Sean from AutomatedWith.tech, .com. So that gave that to me. So it's just the way he talks. Sometimes I just copy it because it works perfectly for AI. So verifiably defendable is what I'm going to put in here. So we're going to do verifiably. Oh, sorry, I'm working on a verifiably. This is how you know my spelling's horrible. Okay, there we go. So verifiably defendable. Verifiably defendable explanations. So verifiably defendable means don't hallucinate. It's you're going to have to know that there's a way to verifiably defend what you're saying as useful. So hence explanations are highly likely to be useful. All right. And then what I'm going to say is, sorry, I used the wrong word. I'm going to use experiences here. This is another thing that I think is important. Design with AI. That's what we're doing here. So I'm kind of designing my life with AI in this way, right? Kind of working through the tool. But I really just want to focus on the experience of it. Be in the moment, because that's what makes it fun and keeps things moving. Just kind of being in that experience. I try to use that experience word a lot. It's experience and impact. I think if we both kept thinking about that, if we all kept thinking about that, a little more impact and what are we actually making things happen in our own lives, the world gets so much better, so much quicker. All right, so we could do that. I like the idea of the tuning studio too, but I think the knowledge, we might be able to do that. Open, I always will tell it this too, open to other ideas, of course. More useful, I'll pass as well. Okay, so the impact to capacity metric. You correctly identify the capacity must generate impact. Yes. You choose core metric, time to impact. Ooh, that is super cool. I like the time. I like the time to impact. I really like that, because if this, I like anything with AI that we could make measurable, so it's not an opinion. Because I've talked with people before, which I get. I felt the same way sometimes, where you start using your AI and it makes you feel like you're just this most powerful person in the world, because it's constantly patting you on the head and telling you you're amazing and giving you all these great ideas, and you think, oh, I've just created this entire thing, but all you've been doing is talking to yourself with your computer and haven't actually done anything in the real world. So the trick is it's not working with AI to get something done, because that happens in your head. But for me, I'm working with AI to get me to work with AI to get things done. So it loops back, and that's how I think about it. So there is a very subtle difference to that explanation. I hope it comes across. But anyway, this is what makes this stuff real, because I can say, oh, this thing told me I would get it done in 3 days. Did I do it in 3 days? That's awesome. Love this. Time to impact being there. It's helpful for the users. All right, so there's proper expectations. Okay, and then let's see. And then see how it made the impact step all of a sudden. It's like, okay, there you go. I've done it. I'm moving on. I'm not going to let it move on. So let's not move on quite yet. So that's telling it stop, no, go back. We're not going to talk about impact anymore. Sources and framework, evolution, impact to clarity metric is good. And at this point, what I'm trying to do in my own head now is, because now I have new thoughts that I didn't have before, I'm now going through everything, kind of going from the beginning to the now with my everything, kind of recycling through it all in my head, going, okay, is there anything else now with these different ideas that I can think about that would be useful? So the impact clarity, the assembly, the team tuning studio. Let's see. Knowledge is good. All right, let's just see how we do with that. Yeah. And then the other thing is, did I don't think I ever gave it the operational blueprints, did I? Did I? No, I did not. Okay, so I'm going to do that, because I mentioned that earlier, and I don't think I ever did that. Also, I've attached knowledge about the users. Okay, this is the operational blueprint thing I was talking about, and then obviously got back with AI here. Going back to the Colby stuff and everything else, this is where you're going to see that, where it comes in. Know who Teamy Factory knows who it is helping. Please all Teamies will have access to this particular knowledge. You know what? I know that I did. I don't know if it's a mistake, but we're going to find out. So back here, there was the transcript. So it knows AutomatedWith.tech. Okay, now that'll work. I was thinking maybe, okay, this will work. Sorry, I'm just thinking through my head here, but that's kind of what some of these are going to be like. So now I'm going to go through and we're going to add from drive, and I'm going to pop in our knowledge here. So this is why I do what I do, and I name it so I can say knowledge, and then blueprint. I think it was operational blueprint. Co-founders operational blueprints. Yes, perfect. So there's our operational blueprints. That is essentially just a summary of all these different personality profiles that we've done. This is such a simple way to do that. Just to get started, right? It's not the perfect, there's other ways to do it. You can evolve things. I'm going to show you all this stuff. Actually, that'll be through other showcases on This Is Your Mind and AI. I'll show you the personal development stuff where you create your own virtual coaches. And I've got a blueprint that's like 80 pages long now. This is not that. This is more succinct, something that, again, we just created that took our profiles, gave it to AI, say, analyze these and give us the summaries. And that's what it is. That's it. It's very simple. So now it's going to understand the users, and this should help tune kind of the tone or maybe personality a little bit of what the factory might do. But at least it understands what we're looking for, and it's probably going to change maybe of how it might interact with us, because it might notice the difference between the two. At least it should. So we're going to see if it does that. And then we'll take a look. All right. So now... Okay, the implementation of the source framework, misstep. Okay, so the living knowledge, the evolution, update verification. Not bad, yep. It's still kind of doing API. Actually, that's not bad, because I'm gonna need this stuff anyway. And this is why I love AI. This is the first time I've ever seen anything like this, where it's mentioning RAG and API already. Because in the past, I think I've accidentally limited it. I've always just been like, oh yeah, we're gonna be creating a knowledge document, blah, blah, blah. But now I gave it AutomatedWith.tech the transcript, and I said, I've talked through generally what I'm trying to do, and it gets what I'm trying to do. I am eventually gonna be doing RAG. We're gonna be doing automations. We'll be using all these different things. But we got to build our way into that. So I don't have that stuff yet, but I'm going to need it. And it's already thinking about that, which is great, because I hadn't considered that, and I would have had to add it anyway. So now I'm like, I'm already going to have that there. So for me, what I guess I'm trying to point out is I have future momentum already built. Things are getting faster because I'm not going to have to do this in the future. It's going to be there. So I like where it's going. The time to met this Teamy specific task. Time to impact 25 minutes. That's cool. Yeah, I like that. All right. And we'll see what that looks like. That may or may not work, but we're going to give it a shot. So the result is specialized self-and data impact filling exchange operator advantage. It's still trying to get me through the impact, but I think I'm kind of there. And this is exactly right. We want this unconstrained operational leverage. The feeling of I can do anything. I just need to create a Teamie to help me do it. Like, all I need is the knowledge and the thing that can get me to do the thing that I need to do, the actions I need to take, because it understands how to communicate with me, right? Using my operational blueprint to get me to do the things I need to do. I mean, in this certain way. Like, this is should be really good. So, all right, this sounds good. It does. All right, so now we're going to go through and we'll see how I think it'll walk into kind of fusing things. So the way that RIFfing works is it sort of talks about the reality of the situation, and that was where we were just going through the different results we're trying to get through and everything else. Then it goes through, okay, based on that reality of if the factory worked like all this stuff and did all these things, this is the impact you would get, in which case it was this unconditional leverage, like I've got unbelievable ability at all times. Yes, it's exactly what I want, because now I have that confidence and that's going to cause different thoughts in my head. Imagine if you had unlimited confidence, truly, truly, truly. Allow yourself to pretend that you believe that for a second. It's a helpful technique, by the way, to pretend you believe something. But when you believe that you pretend you believe it, it's even more powerful. So try that and pretend that you actually believe that you have unlimited confidence to do anything that you want and you just need the Teamie. That's all you need to do. Is be like, oh yeah, anything. You want to be the best baker in the world, you just need a Teamie that can help you improve your baking skills to become the best baker in the world. And then as one Teamie kind of gets you to the stage 1 to stage 2, you create the next Teamie to get you to the next stage. And that's all it is. It's just constantly motivate. Now what can we do? Everything, anything. That's what's pretty cool about this. So you want to create a tutor for yourself, create a tutor and learn something. If you want something that just tells you what to do so you can assemble things and get that aren't important for you to actually learn and think about, then do that. If you want to create, something else to help you, learn or explore something, I mean, we can. It's amazing what's possible. Anyway, I'm going to get off the band, what do they call that? The soapbox? Okay, few step. We've confirmed the result to create the Teamy Factory. Perfect. Unconstrained operational leverage is exactly right. Because again, I don't know how to automate stuff, but AI I know has the knowledge. I'm going to create a Teamie that tells me how to do it. It's just almost feels like cheating, because the only thing you have to do is take action. You don't even have to put in effort, because the knowledge is really where the effort is, and that can just be delivered. Anyway, okay, the action on your computer's desktop. New empty folder. So this is going to be the Teamy Factory. All right, so I'm going to do what it is suggesting we do here. However, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it in a slightly different location so that I can just keep my screens open here. So I'm going to pop it into our Google Drive. And then what I'm going to do is I have our showcases in here. So let me show you kind of what I've got. So we're going to be doing showcases, right? So we've got a lot of different products in the showcases. AutomatedWith.tech is one of the showcases. So what I'm going to do is because it's a showcase, I'm going to keep it in here. I've got the presentations and public access to tools and docs. Public access is where I'm going to keep everything. So this little Teamy Factory thing, as I build it out, you'll have access to it. Certain parts of it that makes sense. It doesn't make sense for you to take mine because mine's built for me, but now you at least end up build one. That said, the other showcases will build more generic ones, and then everybody can have those. So we'll do that later. But again, I need to build stuff, so I need to get moving here. So presentations, I'm going to go into, actually, no, I'm not. I'm going to come back in here. We're going to do a public access. I'm going to put in, so where did I put this? I thought I had, I do. AI sources for the AutomatedWith.tech live streams. That's where I'm putting it. So I'm going to put this into our little folder. This is our Teamy Factory. So now I have that done, which is perfect. So now we're going to start to kind of assemble, and I want to see just, how useful this ultimately is. Let me go back. All right. We are definitely grounding, so I'm good on that. I don't mind the small steps, but again, I just took action, right? Like it just made sense to do it, but it also is action that I'm aware of that I just took. So I'm already building this thing is the point. I've now transferred from in my head to now I've just created a folder on the computer. I'm actually doing something. I've made a place to talk about the thing. Now we can start building the thing, and that's what the rest of this should be. Done. So now let's, I did, yes. Should have just said, yeah, got it. I was grounded, it is a grounding experience to be like, I am now in building this thing. We've transitioned. So now we're going to try to build it out. All right. So I'm just going to make sure I've got, okay, perfect. All right. Form step. Shared knowledge is important. Okay, this makes sense. So the first thing it's saying to do is, okay, now we're going to create all the shared knowledge that every team is going to have. Then we'll blueprint the first one, which is good because that's how we build the thing. And then once we got that, we have our template to be able to do all of that. That makes sense. All right. So new subfolder, default knowledge. I'm going to do exactly that. The other thing that now, again, obviously these names probably will change with time. However, what I'm going to do is pay attention to exactly what it's doing here, because eventually I'm sure it's coding it in a way that could be API'd. Like it's what they call snake case, when it does the little underscores where there's spaces and all that. Like that's probably a way I'm going to start changing, because I'm getting these signals now from AI to say this is probably the better way to structure it, because that's how it wants it structured. Because remember, we made this for AI to build this stuff for AI, so AI needed to know everything that AI would need to know. So it's formatting it in the way that AI is most likely finding useful. That's probably better for me to model. So you're going to start probably seeing me change some of my folders, especially with the ones that are be used for future automations or anything like that, because I'm getting those signals back. So this is helping me learn and become smarter about how I might structure my data. This is another example of how AI can make us smarter if we are using AI in smarter ways. All right, so now we've got that. Inside default knowledge, new blank document. Okay, that's fine. Good. Ready. So I'm just going to say confirm so it doesn't try to ask me again. Co-founder blueprints, MD. So this is a new Google Doc. And this is what it wanted to be called, these little co-founder. Actually, I'm going to go back. I'm not sure. I want to make sure I don't. What's next? Great. Next up. Sometimes they get stuck. It happens. All right. So now I'm going to grab this little bit right here. And the .md, again, it's not technically a .md markdown file. It's a Google document, but I get the idea, and eventually I think I might maybe turn those into that. Maybe they get rid of some formatting. I'm not sure. But for now, I'm going to keep it. I think I'm going to keep it there. We'll see. For now, I'm going to make it a Google Doc. We'll keep it simple. I'm not going to complicate it any more than it already is. All right, so here's our co-founder. Perfect. So we're going to copy this. This is giving everything about the co-founders. There's my little Colby 5573 for those that are curious. That is true. So there's our co-founder blueprints. All right. So that's in there. And now that we have that, great. Next. So now we've got co-founder, which is important. I think it's going to need some brand thing for AutomatedWith.tech. And this is not where I'm just following orders. That's not what I'm doing here. I'm doing this it's me doing the work. I cannot emphasize this enough. Not AI telling me what to do. It's me telling me what to do, and I'm using AI to help me come up with an answer. That's why it's me getting smarter and not me using AI, or AI getting smarter, anything like that other people confuse that with. Brand and mission, this is a good one. So we will be doing that. Created. I've also attached another bunch of notes that were pretty old, from months ago. Actually, hang on. I think I'm going to do this differently. So I'm going to use the mic because I forgot that I can. All right. All right, I'm definitely ready to go on this. When it comes to brand and mission, I've uploaded and attached a bunch of different documents. There are actually a lot of old notes. To be honest, I'm not sure how many of them are useful or not, but they were there at the time of the creation of the idea of AutomatedWith.tech and what it became. That transcript that was uploaded earlier in this conversation, that really is a good understanding of kind of what AutomatedWith.tech currently is now. But all this other knowledge that I'm giving you that I've attached to this input is there to help you understand sort of the background of where all that came from. A lot of them were bad ideas that were, discarded, but some of them came through, and there might be something in there that's useful. So just go through that, and if there is anything that's useful, please let's discuss it. I don't want to automatically use it. I'd rather just have you confirm with me that the different parts that you think are useful are the parts that I think are useful as well. All right, so now that I've done that, I'm going to attach something I think I just call plan. And it was this document that I was building over the last few months. It was this one, and then let's do this one. And then that's going to be good enough. So what I did is, as I was having ideas and I was having AI conversations and cool little things, I would just grab these snippets and be like, yep, cool, let's throw that in the plan, throw that in the plan, throw that in the plan, throw that in the plan. And then eventually having AI go and say, here's all this stuff we have in the plan, what do we do with it, right? How do we, what's the summary, what's the things, what's the good, what's the bad? And then try to use it as a data dump, but to be able to pull stuff from it. Because maybe there's a really good idea that was useful, but maybe a year from now, and it'll be in that somewhere, because we had talked about it during the brainstorms. That's kind of how I use that. All right, so now we've got Automated with Tech, brand mission, course sections, human first, AI accelerated. Yes, that is the idea. And then the digital twin for your mind, which is very true. I forgot about that, but that was really what we were creating, is these idea of this digital twin. Like, I'm using AI as a digital twin right now. I'm riffing with AI, but it's myself, right? I am operating as myself using AI to figure out how to use AI to get me to use AI to get things done, right? So that's the digital twin thing, and we'll be talking a lot more about that stuff later. This is the stuff that is all going to be in some of the showcases when we talk about This Is Your Mind on AI and that sort of more personal development style psychological thinking of AI. Let's see, the primary audience is practical seeker. Yes. So I'm going to say this is true. This is true. Just note the audience never will refer to themselves as this. Use their terms, or I'm gonna say used their preferred terms instead. Okay. Let's see. Do this. So I'm basically saying, hey, whenever you're referring to the audience perspective, think it through from the audience's perspective. Use their terminology, their jargon, not what you think it is, or what I think it is, or what the instructions say to call it. Because it comes up with these, like, the unlock moments. Like, it's so dramatic. I mean, again, sometimes that's useful, but sometimes it's just, like, it gets annoying. You're like, yeah, we don't need to call them practical secrets. Just say the audience. Just say the market. It's fine. Okay, the core experience here. Create a perspective shift, which is true. The backstage build approach, okay, got it. Multi-tiered paid community. This is something we were thinking about in the beginning, to do something like this. I think they are no longer relevant because we wanted to do these training models. I'm sure, by the way, if anyone's consulting stuff, reach out to me. Once Automated with Tech is up and running, you'll be able to do that. And I'm happy to help you out with stuff, but I'm also happy to help you out on these live streams. And my goal would be continue doing live streams and help everybody out as much as I can here through these platforms, through YouTube primarily, and the different channels here. And then as I just am not able to do that, or if I obviously need to make a little bit of revenue, occasionally it's going to happen, we can do consulting. I'll just not be able to do as many live streams, for that. And I'll drop those down, but I'll always do live streams because I love live streaming. And helping everybody out as much as I can. I just don't know if I'll be able to do it at this level. But anyway, the point is, if you need help, reach out, try to get through the live stream. And we still need to make revenue. So I'm sure we'll have training programs and things like that too. That might be like maybe just live only. So it's like, hey, if you want to join me live for 4 hours, we're going to be doing this thing. And we do a like exclusive little training on something that's not, public for the YouTube channels, but would be in the Automated with Tech community. So it would be free there, but maybe after like a week or something, if I, publish the course, but I can do the training with everybody live. Like, that's an example of something I think I could do with this. But that's why it was thrown out, because it was an older idea. The abstract language, all of this is exactly right. And it was, and you even saw in my Google Drive, I'll point it out just for those that were like, what, does he even know? So in the Teamy Factory, as I come back out here, it was showcases abundance project. That's all I called it. I was like, I don't know, it's just gonna be this abundance project. We're gonna use AI to figure out how to be abundant because I'm tired of kind of thinking about abundance and measuring abundance and all the other stuff that thinking, in your own head, and I want to just experience it. And I want to use AI to do that. And that was the whole concept. That's where it came from. So I haven't actually changed that name of the Google Drive yet. I should. But anyway, this is the most important one. So just coming into the showcases here. Okay, so then let's go back. All right, these feel correct. Everything else looks great. All right, cool. So that's kind of thing. I'm good. So I'm going to say everything else is great. All right. And then we will see where we go here. All right, so there's our brand emission file. Now I'm going to wait when, just a little Gemini pro tip here. If this is still says stop, it means it's thinking. I saw, you even saw this happen on the RIFf stream I did yesterday, but this little thing, when it moves, it was getting stuck yesterday. I noticed that. It was on September 10th, 2025. It was doing that, where I was unable to continue a conversation sometimes and lose them. It was weird. Anyway, the mic's back, so I can copy this because I know it's fully complete now. And then what I'm going to do, so this was the, what did we call that? I think I did not call that. I did not create my name that I should have. So this is going to be brand admission. Now this is what I do like about what is happening here, because I have the, I'm going to come in here. Oh, you know what I'm going to do? Here's a fast way to do this, because this automatically puts it into the same folder for me. So I'm just going to come in, make a copy, and call it brand admission. There we go. Quick and easy. And then I'm going to come back. Let's grab our little copy and paste. All right. Then we come back to brand admission, get rid of the old one, in with the new one. All right, there we go. So now you've got brand admission for Automated with Tech all set out. Core knowledge. And remember, all the Teamies now are going to have this. They're all going to know, you know, my wife and I and how we operate. So they know the co-founders and how they think about stuff. So it can be adjusted based on whoever's using it. And they all know kind of what we're trying to do, which we just kind of confirmed. All right. And then, great. What's next? One thing, as I'm doing with the RIFf prompt here, you know, where it kind of is stopping and it says, and this is going to be your experience. And it sort of just leaves you there. I don't need that as much. So when I do the RIFf bot stuff this afternoon, I'm going to kind of take some of that out. I still want it to be sort of experiential, where I can experience some things and feel it a little bit, but I think it's a little bit over the top with what it's trying to do over and over. But this is how we evolve things. Okay, so we got the 2 foundational blueprints. That's probably good. Yeah. All right. So basically who the owners are, what the point of the company is, because everything else is probably going to be some sort of specialty knowledge, potentially. That I'm okay with for now. All right. So let's do the first Teamie. Now, what I'm going to do, cliffhanger, is the first Teamie that I'm going to create is going to be let me think. I'm going to do the RIFf bot later. I'm going to do the RIFf bot later. So let's do the Fluent one, because I know that I want to be able to get something done between now and that anyway, and I need this to do it. So what I'm going to do is we're going to do the Fluent Suite Automation Teamie. So I kind of like that idea. So it's saying YouTube growth, and we're going to say, let's go, because we need to build the CRM, support, community, forms, cart, etc. I think the Fluent Teamie is the better option. Now, I will do a YouTube growth one and redo the one, but I already have those. I technically already have one for the Fluent stuff too, but I really want to I want to start flipping over to the ones that were built from the Teamies again, so that you and I are using the same stuff, so that you don't ever have to think like, oh, well, Mercer had this other stuff he was using. It must be some secret sauce. There isn't a secret sauce. I'm showing you all of the sauce. It's all of it. So I'm creating it from scratch. I'm showing you the knowledge documents. You can see how it's creating knowledge documents. I'm going to show you how to do all of that. Everything I'm doing here is all that you do. There's nothing else to it. All right, so now Fluent automation. So complete technical infrastructure. So now it's going through kind of the results here, right? It's going through the result. Here's what we're trying to get. So build the complete technical infrastructure for the community, powerful but complex tools. Yes. An integrated system for CRM support community, lack the depth, but lack the deep specialized knowledge to implement it quickly. Yes, this is what I want, and I don't know how. The bridge is the Fluent Teamie is expert level entire product suite, act as hands-on implementation, tools integrate, build complex automations, troubleshoot common issues. Perfect. That's what I want. Operation integrated, automated community platform Fluent suite. Seamlessly manage members, handle support, process sales, all with AI-powered efficiency. The results. Okay, this is awesome. Now, here's how I'm going to test. This is, again, how I think differently about AI and what I think if you do more of this, as you're working with AI, you become smarter. Because, again, I need the new thoughts, right? This looks to me like, oh, yeah, this is a much better way of saying the thing that I know that I want, right? But I want to know, what's the thing that I didn't know that I wanted, that it shows me, makes me aware of something new, right? Something useful and new. Because the more useful new things that I am aware of, the more useful new things I create from that, the more impact I have. So what I'm going to do is I want to go through and figure out how I can get this to create a more useful version of itself. So what I'm going to do is before we move on, actually I'm going to say this sounds good, but I would like to clarify. And this is just kind of like don't go forward. That's what I'm saying. It's good, just don't move into the next thing yet. I would like to clarify. What are 3 different ideas this Teamie might be able to give me that I wouldn't know it could do? Now, it doesn't know Fluent right now. I haven't given it all the Fluent products and tech and all that stuff yet. So I don't know how it's going to handle this, but I needed to kind of use its little AI imagination to light up the paths that say, all right, well, here's some things this type of Teamie should be able to do, right? Is likely to be able to do that would be cool that you wouldn't ask for. And this is to help me go like, oh, I would be able to ask this Teamie to do those things. Oh, well, that's cool. I didn't even know I could do those things. Oh, maybe I can, that gives me another idea for another. And that's where this stuff comes from, right? As long as you actually take action on it, that's important. Then that's how you have impact, consistent impact. So predictive community health, Teamie guides you connect Fluent support tickets, forums, feedback submissions, community discussion topics, use data to identify current patterns of confusion and frustration. That's cool. So instead of, I like this non-obvious outcome angle it took. That's a good, see, this is what I mean. So now I see, what's the non-obvious? Not what's the obvious outcome? And then tell me the non-obvious outcome. I might start asking for that because the non-obvious is where the juice is. Instead of reacting support tickets, proactively prompt you. I've noticed these support users have asked about integrating. Okay, so this could help us guide through the community a little bit, which is good. I'm actually going to create a community Teamie just for that, separate. But okay, let's see. My user journey identifies a member, takes a path to unlock. Oh, this is good. So it can help me do a little bit of journey mapping, which is cool. And specifically how to do the journey map in this. Now, here's what I'm already thinking. I am going to create another Teamie that really just understands community. I don't know if I'll do that with a live stream or not, but it'll be this process. Then I will have that community bot kind of come up with plans that I need to build, and then I'll be able to give those to this Teamie and say, hey, the community Teamie wants this built. How do we do that? And it'll be like, oh, here's what you do. So the Teamie kind of writes all the copy and flow and strategy, and then the Fluent or the community Teamie would, and then the tech, our little Fluent one here, this is the one that puts it all together. It says, here's how you assemble it. And then of course I just assemble, which should go a whole lot faster because I'm not having to put the effort into either one of them, right? I'm just working with myself to get the AI to give me the answers. All right, so when I choose a milestone, Teamie uses AI to generate a personalized message that says, "I saw you." This is true. This is awesome. I like this idea. Okay, because it's thinking like it's what I'm testing for is it stretching to what it knows already that Fluent can do, even though it's just at this base level of Fluent understanding, because it's not the Fluent Teamie itself, right? It's the factory, you know. All right, so dynamic onboarding engine, onboarding quiz. Okay. Oh, interesting. Okay, so it can do some of that. Now, again, some of that I think would come from more of the community one. However, this gives me how to put it together, which is good. All right, great. So this looks great. So I'm good with this direction. I've sort of tried it on, is what I just mentally did there, to be like, okay, what kind of stuff could it do that I think would be very cool? And it came back with some things that I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. Yes, that's generally what I wanted to do right now, at least from what I can tell this moment. All right, so now we got the kind of the reality, the result that we're trying to define. What's the potential impact or the likely impact? Foundational integrity. Interesting choice of words. Deep sense of calm, confidence, knowing the core is built. Negative anxiety, technical debt, which is true, as what sometimes slows me down. Launch a new course, you don't feel a hesitation of whether the sales delivery system will work, you just know it will, which is true, because I will just go there and be like, oh, hey, we have a new thing, it's the same structure as the other thing, what do I do? And it'll just, and remember, if it can tell me to do it, ultimately, it can tell an API or an MCP to do it. And that's kind of what I'm ultimately moving towards, the whole idea of automated with tech. Moving from the human, right, kind of this human first approach. Humans are doing it first, and then AI accelerates the whole process, right? So the humans that are doing it on their own with 10 hours of me researching YouTube videos and everything else, I can go to AI in an hour, I can craft something that has now pushed me to a point where I can start doing the thing instead of researching how to do the thing, right? Because I have the knowledge, I have the abilities, I have the capacity, and I can make the impact. So I like that. And this is exactly right. Sounds great. Let's move on. All right, so now we move on to the next little stage here. I am so curious to see how this is going to work. All right, so the fuse. Log into, there's your Fluent CRM, look at the screen, predicted micro experience. Okay, so Fluent CRM is in here for us. So this is our little dashboard. This is not set up at all. We have a contact I think I created way back then. That's where I created it. And that's all I've done. This is literally it. I created my contact and that was it. Nothing else is set up in here. I do a couple of tags I put in just to play with some stuff, but that's it. So I know it's in there and we know we can be moving. All right, now, this is where this might be going a little riffy for me, where it's starting to riff into the riff, into the riff, into the riff, and I don't want it to do that. I need it to actually build me the factory instructions, and I'm not sure if it's going to do that. So let me just see. It should not have done this. So here's what I'm going to do. Time critical. So this is how I'm going to kind of stop the process a little bit, or try to. Critical timeout. I have a side comment. This, I know we are building Teamy Factory. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to build this Teamy Factory, but it's starting to seem like we're beyond that now. So the Teamy Factory is how I get the actual instructions for the Teamy Factory. So I've gone enough. What I thought it was going to do is kind of like do a dry run, but I think it's getting it like, oh no, we're going to do this for real. Now and it's not. It's confused. I don't think it's in the right spot right now. The problem with AI, the challenge that it has, is in this conversation, once you've made a wrong turn, and this is why it's important to try to steer it as we go. But once you've made a wrong turn and you sort of, it's tough to go back. It's tough to back up is my point. You can only go forward. And so I'm going to change this to add a little bit here before it goes into this fuse step. Sounds great. So now I'm going to say, instead of pausing it, because I was about to, if I had entered this prompt here, this one would have been sort of permanent and I couldn't edit it. Now I can edit it, which is what I should do, because that helps me steer the conversation again, which is, thank you to my wife for that little comment, that helpful tip. I've got a side note. Okay, so I know we are building a Teamy Factory. I know the original, this entire conversation was to create the Teamy Factory itself, but starting to see beyond it now, how I get the actual instructions for the Teamy Factory. I like the progress so far, but want to be sure I can test the Teamy Factory out as an actual Gemini Gem and not do a dress rehearsal like we are now. So I'm trying to correct it a little bit here by saying, all right, it kind of wanted an extra step, and I'm like, nope, I don't want to go there. So I'm not going to let it take me there by confirming in the response. Instead, I went back to the response, and I said, nope, we're not going to go there. I'm going to try to get you to go someplace else. So we really need to refocus back on the Teamy Factory. I need the instructions for this thing, because at the end of the day, I need to be able to build this thing out as a gem and then use it to build out something. That's what I need to do. So, and that's probably what I'm going to do this afternoon. So I got enough to do a dry run. I thought it would give me I realized halfway through it, I was doing the wrong thing when I said initially, I'm like, oh, I can go ahead and build a bot right now. But it isn't the Teamy Factory. It's the conversation about the Teamy Factory that I'm in right now. So that was me being led by the AI a little bit, and I disconnected from it. I'm now just back connected going, I steered incorrectly, never mind. Let me think this thing through. What I really should be doing is not building the bot from the Teamy Factory. I got to build the actual Teamy Factory. So let's get back into that. So perfect. Great. So I'm going to say this is confirmed. What is it asking me to do just to make sure? Oh my God, who cares about this? I don't know why it's even asking me to do the, I may have lost this entire thread already. Oh, that would suck, but it does happen. Let's see, Teamy assembly kit. Okay, this is the essential way we're creating a Fluent Teamy. Instructions, file 1. Okay, this is what I want. This is good. Okay. So what it did is it built. This is okay. I know how we're gonna take this. So I'm gonna say this is great. These are great. Can you review and rewrite and update these so they are? Let me think. What is it? I want to make sure it's not, there's nothing in here about Fluent. No, see what it says, your Fluent Teamy right there. They are not only actually helping the user. But they're actually helping the user, Fluent Teamy, but actually helping the user to create any type of Teamy. This is so in other words, the impact I'm looking for is a Teamy kit that is the Teamy Factory. I'll say based on the earlier conversation in this thread. So I'm just kind of trying to get to reference some other things and pull in like, oh, okay, this, that. Connect some dots here. The impact I'm looking for is the Teamy kit for a generic Teamy Factory to generate any Teamy. Any useful Teamy the user is requesting. Using methods based on it, so I'm going to say. So I want to reconnect it. Methods, strategies, tactics. So I'm just using a lot of different words to kind of get it like ways, right? To say, hey, all the different ways we talked about doing this is how we should be doing this. Let's go back and kind of make this generic for me. Rip out the Fluent stuff. You shouldn't be creating knowledge prompts for WordPress. It doesn't need knowledge prompts for WordPress. I don't even know if it needs a knowledge prompt. It might not. I think eventually it could. We can add that stuff in. It'll need at least generic knowledge because it needs to know AutomatedWith.tech and the owner, so it'll have that. All right. So there's our factory. Okay, perfect. So this is the master prompt. Create the Gemini Gem that is the Teamy Factory. Okay, so there's our instructions. So here's where we're going to start to assemble some things. So I'm going to copy this. We're going to go into our Gemini Gem. And I'm going to say new gem. And this is going to be Teamy Factory. Okay. Now again, remember I called it Teamy Factory, not a person, because it's just a thing. It does this thing. So I'm creating this cool little tool. There's my instructions. So I've pasted them in. Now we're going to go back and continue to assemble from our kit. And then we'll test it. We'll see how useful it is. All right. So there's instructions. There is example Teamy assembly kit output. Okay. I'm not sure what to do with that, but that's okay. Expertise as an expert type, create as an expert type, generate as an expert type. Okay, that's cool. All right, I'll be curious to see how it does that stuff, but we'll see. This part I think is going to have to be improved, but I'm going to use it to improve it. So we're going to use the Teamies and then we'll naturally improve them. In fact, I'm going to have them improve themselves with this, and I'll show you some stuff on how to do that. And then there's our assembly guide. Generally specialized knowledge. Save the output. Okay. Final action 2, create the master Teamy Factory gem using the instructions. And then upload the 2 default knowledge files. Okay, so that's the other thing I need to do. So our 2 default knowledge files should be in our recents here. Oh, let's see if they were. There's our co-founder. Nope. Where were they? All right. This is going to be the, let's just do .md. Because I think they both had .md at the end, which actually would make it really easy. Yes, they did. .md. Okay, so there's brand admission and co-founder. Those 2, perfect. So they're both in there. So now I've attached the knowledge of both of those. Oh, look how it said .md. It literally changed it. That's cool. That's the first time I've even used .md in a file name. So this is why it's sometimes good to just go with what AI says. Because that's what it wants. It doesn't want something that looks fancy and pretty, I guess, which makes sense for me. Why would it? All right, so that's currently what we got. So then let's see, let's build the Fluent Suite. Once the gem is created, let's build the Fluent Suite automation Teamie. It'll go through the exact RIFf process and a final output specific ready to assemble kit for that Teamie. You have built the machine, now you can build anything. Okay, perfect. That's what the goal is anyway. Let's make sure I've done this. So create your master gem using the instructions, which I did. Be sure to upload the 2 documents, which I did. Perfect. Now, what I am not sure, what do I do with these file templates? So I'm going to ask it. Hey, I've got a question. File 1 is the instructions, and I know what to do with those. So those instructions are inside the Gemini Gem instructions now. I also know and have attached the default knowledge. So it knows the co-founders and it knows the brand. But I'm not sure what to do with file 3 template, file 2 template, file 2 example Teamie assembly kit. And I'm not sure what the other ones are for. Is that for, do I make those as knowledge documents and give it as an attachment for those? Do I attach these other MD files as knowledge documents too? Are they just off on the side for me to use when I need to use them? Or I'm just not sure what to do with those. Can you help me out and try to make it as simple as you can so I don't have to think about stuff? I do like telling you, like, hey, just keep it simple, man. Just cut to the chase. I don't need a whole diatribe of paragraphs to read through, even though it's definitely going to do that. Which I think is funny because as much as AI costs the companies to produce AI, I bet you they burn a lot of tokens being too verbose. All right. Do not upload the second file. Okay, this is a picture on the box of a Lego set. It's a reference. It's what the final product looks like. Okay, got you. So the instructions and the default knowledge, which I did, that's it. Okay. Then I keep the other thing for my reference. Sure. And the only other things you need to attach is knowledge document Teamy Factory or the 2 you already have. Okay, great. I'll give it a test and let you know how it goes. So what I'm going to do is I am going to test it. I'm going to go through building the little Fluent bot that I want. And now we're going to assemble it. I'm just going to start it right now to try. So I'm saving it with our default knowledge and the instructions. Now we're going to start a new chat with our Teamy Factory. And I'm going to say, I'd like a Teamy. Actually, why am I typing this? Takes too long. Hey, I'd like a Teamy that really understands the WordPress platform, but specifically the Fluent suite of products. We use Fluent Community, Fluent CRM, Fluent Support, Fluent Cart, Fluent Affiliate, Fluent Boards, Fluent Forms. Basically, every Fluent product we use because they're so tightly integrated. And what we're trying to do is have a Teamy that I can use, and it can guide me on how best to assemble the things that we're trying to assemble in the AutomatedWith.tech community. But integrations and everything else, especially because ultimately with AutomatedWith.tech, we want to move it into as automated as possible because there's only ever 2 co-founders. And we want AutomatedWith.tech to be this example of automation. So I really need the Teamy to really understand that aspect and how automation can come into play eventually, whether it's the built-in automations that Fluent has and the integrations between themselves, but also with third-party platforms as well, and how to do that. Because I would like it to be able to offer some really logically creative ideas and concepts and paths that can help us to just basically have the impact that we want AutomatedWith.tech to have. So that's what this Teamy is supposed to be. If there's anything I've forgotten about, please make me aware of that in the best way that you can. What do you got? Where do you want to start? All right, now we're going to kind of go through this little riff process. Probably again, I'm just riffing something out. Here's kind of what I'm trying to do. Then it's going to come back and say, okay, let's kind of talk it through, and it should follow roughly what riffing is. So it's going to think about the results, hopefully kind of confirm the impact, and then give us our kit when we've done that. But it's supposed to help us get clear and a little more detailed and structured, so we know what we are talking about. And then we say, yeah, this is the Teamy. This is the Teamy. You mean this? What about if it does this? Or what about if it does that? Or did you want it also do this? And then we go, yep, okay, cool. We've got it confirmed. Let's get the kit. So that's what should be happening. Let's find out. Okay, powerful, complete set of Fluent tools, automated systems, automated with tech, configurations, pathways not fully defined. Yes. Automation architect, Teamie, that's fine. I'll change the thing. Again, look at the misspellings. I got to fix that, but that's okay. Desired result, the operational model, clear step-by-step architectural blueprint using the Fluent tools, logical, creative. Great. It does. I think for now it does, because I want to essentially create the Teamy and then use the Teamie to see if the Teamie's any good. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to this Teamy Factory conversation. In fact, what I am going to do is rename this right now, and I'm going to say this is a Teamie build, and specifically for Fluent Teamie, because I can go back and search for it now up here and then look for Teamie builds and then find this. So if I need to update the Teamie, the Fluent Teamie, I can come back to the original conversation that has all the context still about that, and then just continue talking about that specific thing. That's it. All right, so let's see the impact here. Foundational integrity, logical, every piece, every process, streamlined, close enough. Awesome. Okay. All right, so now that would be really cool to see how well this does. What I'm really curious about is how well it does the knowledge prompts and all of that stuff. So if they're same automations, observable. So this is the part I'm going to take out of this because it's trying to get me to take action, but it's not the actual bot, it's the factory. Create new automation. Everyone, and only the first trigger, user sign up with equipment triggering system for new member joining, steps, result, single named automation. Okay, this is fine. This I know will work. I'm not actually going to do this, which is slightly dangerous because I don't want to keep practicing to not take action when stuff like this pops up, but this is not particularly useful. So I'm just going to say this is confirmed for now, and I'm going to take that part out of the bot. So fact, let me go here and say actually I'm gonna give you a little bit of feedback. I have some quick feedback. When it goes through the RIFfing sort of cycle, it does a really great job on the kind of the reality, the results, and then the impact. But I don't think we need that fuse test step, because what happens is the factory tries to act like it's the Teamie that it is creating, and then tries to get me to do something that that Teamie would do. So instead of it trying to actually ask me to do that, what about just changing it so the tone of the fuse says, okay, well, here's an example of how this Teamie would work. For example, if you had asked this, here's how the Teamie would reply, and make the examples kind of really creatively cool examples that I would never think of, but would have been like really, really impressed by, and in terms of the usefulness that's possible, because we're trying to demonstrate that, well, if this is the results and the reality that we're trying to design the Teamie for, and it does do this impact, then here are some examples of some likely pretty cool stuff that you're going to be like, oh my God, yes, I love this, right? That's kind of what we're trying to do. And then once that user confirms that step, then we deliver the kit. Does that make sense? And do you have any other suggestions around that? Okay, so this is me giving feedback now to the thing that built the Teamy Factory. So that's how you kind of chain these things together, because this thing knows all about the Teamy Factory. The other conversation I started knows all about the Fluent Teamie, right? So while I'm doing this, I should definitely do Teamie build, because this is technically a Teamie build too. Oh my gosh, this whole thing. I'm just going to do this Teamie build. And this is the Teamy Factory. Okay. So now, fuse step into simulation step. So let's run a quick simulation. So you film team, okay, create a master onboarding form. Okay, cool, that works. It's good enough for what I'm looking for. So please replace the RIFf process section of your master prompt with the following updated version. So now what I'm gonna do, there's our RIFf process. So in our gem, so I'm just gonna go duplicate this really quickly, open up a new Gemini Gems. We're just going to, oops, there we go, explore gems, and I want to edit our little Teamy Factory, and we're going to find the RIFf process right in here. And then actually, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do docs.new, and I apologize because I'm going to have to wrap the stream up here because I got a call I'm going to jump onto. So this is going to be the Teamy Factory, and then instructions. I'm going to use these MD files now, .md, and then we're going to paste this in here. All right, so now I have the original instructions, and I'm going to name these versions. So in case I tweak something and then it stops working as well, I have a version I can go back to. So another helpful way to use Google Docs. Okay, so now I'm going to grab that thing that I needed to, the mandatory workflow, RIFf process, and I want to make sure where is it? It's just that 1, 2, 3, 4, perfect. So now I'm going to copy this out, mandatory 1, 2, 3, 4. Come on. Completion your final output. Okay, let me see. Sorry, I'm just trying to make sure where this ends and then when it begins here. Completion your first output with the final ready to complete kit. Okay, perfect. So final out kit for the user. All right, so this is it. So this RIFf process is the part that we're going to update. And there it is. Now I'm copying all of this and we're going back into our gem, which is here. Old instructions gone, new instructions pasted in. Now we should be updated. Now at this point, the original conversation is already happened with the Fluent Teamie. So it's not going to have that anymore because this would have been like the initial prompt that kind of starts the whole conversation. So that's not going to be there, but that's okay. It should be there for the next time. So I'm good with that. Now, so now I've kind of gone through. Here's my architect. So I can copy. This is perfect. So I'm going to go build another gem. I'm just going to do this over here so you can see Gemini. And we're going to build our gem. Actually, I might have to, hang on, what I should be seeing is knowledge. I want to make sure there might be some knowledge here. So here's our instructions. That's fine. So we have our instructions. That's easy. We say we paste it in. Here's our knowledge queries. So this is interesting. So the knowledge queries that I have, I'm going to grab those and then product specifications. Let me see what this is looking like here. So I'm going to go to docs. All I'm doing here is I'm just checking to make sure it's like basically useful here. So primary. Okay, so this is pretty good. Okay, so then what I'm going to do is this is telling me to generate knowledge. I'm going to try to do that. So what I'm happening here is I'm going to use deep research, right? So we're coming in here. Actually, don't know why that's not working, but hopefully this does. Turning on deep research, and I'm pasting in that prompt just like it is because that's how I intended it to be. I don't know that's the best way to do it. I'm just saying, oh, okay, well, this is deep research and this is the prompt it said to give and this is what I told it to do. So we're going to try this and see how it works. I'm not going to try to second guess it. I'm just going to try it, get the feedback, see if I got usefulness out of it. If I did, awesome. Good thing I tried it. So at this point, I'm going to be doing deep research, which I'll come back to in a moment. And some of this will be built off camera, but I'm just going to tell you what I'm doing. So we'll do the deep research. That's all I'm doing to generate the knowledge documents that it's going to need. And I'll assemble the knowledge documents. I already have the instructions, which we have up here. And then we've got our assembly guide. So gem creation, Fluent architect. I'm going to change it to Fluent Teamie, obviously. Full text name. Use the queries from the knowledge to search the most up-to-date, download the documents. So this is something I'm going to have to get it to fix. Because you see it how it's saying, oh, AI, what I want it to do is AI should go do this work for me. This is saying, oh, AI is telling you what work you need to go do. So I am going to tweak that as well. So we'll do this, and I'm going to come back here. And then I'm going to kind of do a little feedback thing to see if I can get it to change that. And then I'm going to wrap it up here because unfortunately I'm just out of time. But you'll see how things evolve, and I'll be using it as we go through. Hey, another quick feedback. When it comes to the AI itself and how it is going, sorry, I totally lost my train of thought here of what I'm trying to get this thing to do. The knowledge ingestion. Okay, sorry, there we go. Hey, there's a part of the knowledge document generation that I'm not sure if is working properly. I'll give you an example of what I'm getting as output, but what I'm expecting is an actual document, like an actual prompt that is to be used that the user can then give to AI, so the AI can go create the actual knowledge. In other words, it can use deep research to go research the knowledge that it needs. All I need is the prompt to do the research, not what I'm giving you as the example. Because currently I'm getting this example as output, but it's not useful. It just kind of makes me do more work. And what I want are the prompts that I need to give to AI so the AI does the work. Does that make sense? Okay, there's the example. Output from kit. So now I'm showing it and I'm debugging at this point. We're saying, hey, this kind of wasn't as useful as I thought it was going to be, or as I intended it to be. So I need you to change this so it's a little more useful here. It's like you're trying on clothes and you're like, I need you to just, bring in the shoulders a little bit or whatever, that sort of thing. That's how we do this. And yes, it does take a couple hours, but once I got this thing built, I have a Teamy Factory that I can create any Teamie for over and over and over again. And how fast that I can spin up team members, which means how fast can I spin up stuff to do? And if I can automate those team members, which I will, that means I can do a lot of stuff without me actually having to do any of it. So the example output is wrong. It should not be giving you instructions. It should be giving you this. That's exactly right. Okay. So Gemini Gem instructions were fine. There's the knowledge queries, it's fine. File 3 template. All right, I'm still gonna have to work on this one a little bit, but I'm gonna be out of time. So I'm gonna wrap this one up. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go through this and be like, no, I'm gonna get it on the page and be like, I need you to give me the prompts. It'll give me the prompts. I'll get it to that point. Once I have that, it's done. Now I'm going to be using it over and over again. And by this afternoon, I'll get you a real quick catch up on what it is and what it does, and you'll see it working. But we're like this close. So if it wasn't for the fact that I have a call in a few minutes, I would keep going. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up here. And then any questions you have, comments, whatever, drop them in the comments below. Otherwise, thanks for joining backstage, helping me get some work done here. And then maybe I'll see you on another future live stream here with Automated with Tech. All right. Thanks, y'all. We will see you soon. Take care.